In the last episode, humanity was forced to leave the Galactic Council, deemed too flawed to be part of the intergalactic community. But instead of despairing, we rose to the challenge, building our own trade empire from scratch with Earth as its capital. I stood on the rooftop, the wind whipping my hair into a frenzy as I gazed out upon the sprawling metropolis below. The city never slept, its lights and sounds a constant hum of activity. This was New Eden, the crown jewel of humanity's resurgence. I thought back to the early days when the exile had seemed like a death sentence. How could we possibly survive without the Council's protection and resources? But we had proven them wrong time and time again. My eyes stung as I recalled the faces of those who had believed in me, who had stood by me as I forged alliances with the overlooked and underestimated species of the galaxy. The Kralian, with their towering physical strength and gentle hearts, the Zorvath, masters of technology and cunning. Together, we had built an empire that would make the Council tremble. My comms device beeped, snapping me back to reality. I smiled as I read the message from my trusted advisor, Archaea. Meet me at the docking bay. We have a visitor from the Shakian Empire. I felt a shiver run down my spine. The Shakians were known for their ruthless pragmatism, but they were also masters of the mysterious energy known as the ether. If they were willing to parley, it could mean a significant shift in the balance of power. As I made my way to the docking bay, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and trepidation. This could be the key to our next great leap forward, or a ticking time bomb waiting to destroy everything we had built. The bay doors slid open, revealing a sleek, silver ship emblazoned with the Shakian crest. A figure emerged, tall and imposing, with eyes that seemed to bore into my very soul. "Greetings, Ambassador," I said, trying to sound calmer than I felt. "I am Aiden Ryder, founder of New Eden and leader of the human empire." The Shakian's gaze did not waver. "I am Kalen Thorvath, emissary of the Shakian Empire. We have come to propose an alliance, one that will change the course of history." I felt a spark of excitement ignite within me. This was it, the moment that could cement humanity's place among the galactic elite. But as I looked into Kalen's eyes, I wondered, what secrets lay hidden behind that mask of cold calculation? Intrigued, Ambassador Thorvath," I said, trying to maintain a neutral tone. "Please tell me more about this alliance." Kalen's gaze never wavered, his eyes seeming to bore into my very soul. "The Shakian Empire has long observed humanity's tenacity. Your ability to adapt, to evolve, is impressive. We believe our combined strength could achieve great things." I sensed a careful hesitation in his words, a sense of measured interest. "What kind of alliance are we talking about, Ambassador?" I pressed, my mind racing with possibilities. "A mutual defense pact to begin with," Kalen replied, his voice low and deliberate. "Together, we can secure our borders, protect our interests. The Council may have underestimated humanity, but we will not make the same mistake." I felt a shiver run down my spine as I considered the implications. A pact with the Shakian Empire would send shockwaves throughout the galaxy. But what would be the cost? "And what do you propose we offer in return, Ambassador?" I asked, my eyes locked on his. Kalen's mask of cold calculation slipped ever so slightly. For a fleeting moment I saw a glimmer of curiosity, of fascination. "We have interests in the ether, Aiden Ryder. Interests that require human ingenuity, human passion. Together, we can unlock secrets the Council has long forgotten." The mention of the ether sent a thrill through me. The mysterious energy was said to hold the key to unimaginable power, and the Shakians were rumored to be masters of its manipulation. But what did they know that we didn't? "I see," I said, stalling for time. "I'd like to discuss this proposal with my advisors. Can you provide us with more information?" "Ambassador," Kalen's gaze narrowed, his eyes flashing with a hint of annoyance. "Very well, Aiden Ryder, but time is of the essence. The Council will not remain idle for long. You have 3 standard days to respond." With that, the Shakian emissary turned, disappearing into the sleek silver ship. I stood there, my mind reeling with the implications of the proposed alliance. What secrets lay hidden behind Kalen's mask of cold calculation? And what would be the true cost of humanity's rise to power? As I made my way back to the heart of New Eden, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was walking a tightrope, balancing the fate of humanity on the edge of a precipice. One misstep and everything we had built could come crashing down. I glanced up at the stars, wondering what other secrets lay hidden in the galaxy, waiting to be uncovered. The game was afoot, and humanity's future hung in the balance. The city's vibrant pulse enveloped me as I stepped into the heart of New Eden, the hum of hovercars and chatter of pedestrians a welcome respite from the weight of the Shakian proposal. I made my way to the Ryder Enterprises tower, my mind racing with possibilities and concerns. "Aiden, we need to talk," my sister, Maya, said, intercepting me in the lobby. Her eyes sparkled with a mixture of excitement and wariness. I know, I replied, nodding. "Let's get the team together. We have a lot to discuss." We convened in the strategy room, a circular table surrounded by holographic displays and comfortable, ergonomic chairs. Our makeshift war council consisted of Maya, my chief advisor, Senator Ilara Vex, and Dr. Sophia Patel, our lead scientist. "I'll summarize," I said, launching into a brief recount of my meeting with Ambassador Kalen. As I spoke, the team's expressions shifted from curiosity to concern. "A mutual defense pact could be a game changer," Senator Vex said, her voice measured. "But we can't ignore the risks. The Shakians have a reputation for being ruthless negotiators." "I agree," Maya said, her brow furrowed. "We need to know what they are hiding behind that mask of cooperation." Dr. Patel leaned forward, her eyes sparkling with intellectual curiosity. "The ether is the key, Aiden. If we can unlock its secrets, the possibilities are endless, but we need to be cautious. The Shakians have a history of exploiting their allies." I nodded, weighing their words. "I want to know more about the Shakian Empire's interests in the ether. Sophia, can you dig up any information on their research initiatives?" Dr. Patel nodded, her fingers already flying across her comms device. "I'll get to work on that, Aiden, but I'll need access to some unconventional sources." I raised an eyebrow. "What kind of sources?" Dr. Patel's smile was mischievous. "Let's just say I have some old friends who owe me favors. I'll try to uncover what the Shakians are hiding." As our discussion continued, the room grew thick with tension and uncertainty. The stakes were higher than ever, and one misstep could mean disaster. But I knew we couldn't afford to falter. Humanity's future depended on our ability to adapt, to evolve, and to outmaneuver our foes. As the meeting drew to a close, I turned to my team. "We have 3 standard days to respond to the Shakians. Let's use that time to gather intel, to explore our options, and to prepare for every eventuality. We will not be rushed into a decision." The team nodded, their faces set with determination. Together, we would navigate the treacherous landscape of galactic politics and safeguard humanity's future. As I left the strategy room, I couldn't shake the feeling that the Shakians were hiding more than they were revealing, and I knew that the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The game was afoot, and I was ready to play. But what secrets lay hidden behind the mask of cooperation, waiting to be uncovered? I stepped into the cool evening air, the city's vibrant pulse still thrumming through me. As I walked back to my penthouse apartment, my mind replayed the Shakian proposal, searching for hidden angles and motivations. The moon, now a pale crescent in the sky, cast an eerie glow over the towering skyscrapers. I entered my apartment, the soft hum of the automated systems enveloping me. The AI, Eve, greeted me with a gentle chime. "Aiden, I've received a message from Dr. Patel. She's made initial contact with her sources." I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Play the message, Eve." Dr. Patel's voice filled the room, laced with a hint of excitement. "Aiden, I've managed to get in touch with an old acquaintance who claims to have information on the Shakian Empire's ether research. He's willing to meet with us, but he insists on a secure location. I've set up a meeting for tomorrow evening, 20:00 hours at the old clock tower on the outskirts of New Eden. I nodded to myself, a plan forming. Eve, arrange for a security detail to escort Dr. Patel to the meeting, and have Maya meet me at the clock tower tomorrow evening. I'll want her insights on this. The next evening I arrived at the clock tower, a relic from old Earth's industrial era, now surrounded by towering skyscrapers. Maya was already waiting, her eyes scanning the rooftops. Aiden, I've got eyes on the perimeter. No signs of Shakian surveillance, she reported. Dr. Patel arrived, flanked by two burly security guards. My contact is already inside, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Let's get this over with. We entered the clock tower, the dimly lit interior a stark contrast to the city's vibrant lights. A figure emerged from the shadows, his features obscured by a hood. Dr. Patel. It's been a while, he said, his voice gravelly. Dr. Patel smiled, her eyes glinting. Kale, always a pleasure to do business with you. Kale turned to me, his gaze lingering. The Shakian Empire is hiding something, Ryder, something big. They're searching for a way to harness the ether's power, but their methods are extreme. My instinct screamed warning. What do you mean? Kale hesitated, his eyes darting around the room. I've seen the research facilities. They're experimenting on sentient beings, pushing the boundaries of the ether's energy. And they're not just testing its limits, they're trying to tap into its consciousness. The room seemed to grow colder, the shadows deepening. I felt Maya's hand on my arm, her grip tight. Aiden, we need to get out of here, now. But I was frozen, my mind reeling with the implications. The Shakians were playing with fire and humanity was about to get caught in the inferno. As we exited the clock tower, the night air seemed to vibrate with tension. I knew we had to act, and fast. The game had just changed and the stakes were higher than ever. We need to get to the bottom of this, I said, my voice low and deadly. Maya, gather the team. We have a new priority, uncovering the truth behind the Shakian Empire's ether research. And with that, the clock started ticking. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I was ready to do whatever it took to ensure our survival. Maya nodded, her eyes flashing with determination. I'll get the team assembled, Aiden. Well, dig deep and find out what the Shakians are hiding. I turned to Dr. Patel, my mind racing with possibilities. What do you know about Kale's sources? Are they reliable? Dr. Patel hesitated, her brow furrowed. Kale's a ghost, Aiden. He has connections everywhere, but I've never been able to pinpoint his exact motives. We need to be cautious, but I believe him. The Shakians are playing with forces beyond their control. I nodded, my gaze drifting back to the clock tower's imposing structure. Get Kale's information verified, Doctor. I want concrete evidence before we take this to the Galactic Council. As we parted ways, the city's neon lights seemed to pulse with a newfound sense of urgency. I knew that time was against us, and the Shakians would stop at nothing to achieve their goals. Back in my penthouse apartment, Eve greeted me with a soft chime. Aiden, I've received a secure transmission from an unknown sender. It's encrypted, but I've managed to crack the code. My heart quickened as I walked over to the comms console. Play the message, Eve. A holographic display flickered to life and a distorted voice echoed through the room. Aiden Ryder, you're playing with fire. The Shakians will crush you and your precious human empire. You have 48 hours to back down or the consequences will be catastrophic. The message ended and the hologram dissipated. I felt a cold sweat trickle down my spine as I realized that the Shakians had just raised the stakes. Eve, trace the transmission, I ordered, my voice steady. The AI's response was immediate. Aiden, the transmission originated from a Shakian diplomatic vessel on the outskirts of our territory. It's being escorted by a fleet of heavy cruisers. I exhaled slowly, my mind racing with strategies. The Shakians were daring me to respond, and I knew that I had to take the bait. Get me a secure channel to Admiral Zhao, I said, my eyes locked on the stars beyond the city skyline. It's time to take the gloves off. As I waited for the Admiral's response, the clock tower's silhouette loomed large in my mind, a constant reminder of the ticking time bomb that threatened to destroy everything humanity had worked for. And I knew that I was ready to do whatever it took to defuse it. Admiral Zhao's gruff voice cut through the comms console speakers, dispelling the tension that had been building in my chest. "Aiden, what's the situation?" I relayed the encrypted message and EVE's findings, watching as the Admiral's expression turned from curiosity to granite-hard determination. "Well, mobilize the 7th Fleet immediately. I'll have them ready to engage the Shakian vessels within the hour." I nodded, my mind racing with the implications. "Hold off, Admiral, not yet. I need to know what we're up against. Can you get me real-time intel on the Shakian fleet's composition and movements?" Zhao's pause was brief. "I'll have our scouts gather the data, Aiden, but we can't afford to wait for too long. The Shakians won't hesitate to strike if they sense weakness." I leaned forward, my eyes locked on the viewscreen. "I understand, Admiral, but we can't afford to act recklessly either. Not when the fate of humanity's empire is at stake." The Admiral's tone softened, a hint of understanding creeping into his voice. "I'll get you the intel, Aiden, but be prepared to make a difficult decision. If the Shakians are willing to escalate, we may have no choice but to respond in kind." I nodded, the weight of responsibility settling heavier on my shoulders. "I'll be ready, Admiral. Count on it." As the transmission ended, I turned to EVE. "Get me Maya and the team. We need to dig deeper into the Shakians' plans. I want to know what they're hiding, and I want to know now." EVE's response was immediate, and soon Maya's team was gathering in my penthouse apartment, their faces set with determination. The air was electric with tension as we began to unravel the tangled threads of the Shakians' conspiracy. Hours blurred together as we pored over data, analyzing every shred of evidence, every rumor and every whisper. The clock tower loomed large in the background, a constant reminder of the deadline that hung over our heads like a guillotine's blade. And then, just as the first hints of dawn crept over the city skyline, Maya's eyes locked onto mine, a spark of discovery igniting in her gaze. "Aiden, I think I've found something." I leaned forward, my heart pounding in anticipation. "What is it?" Maya's voice was barely above a whisper. "The Shakians have been secretly funding a rogue faction within the Galactic Council. They're planning to use this faction to declare humanity's empire a rogue state, and then—" Her words trailed off, but I knew the unspoken implication. The Shakians would strike, and humanity would be forced to defend itself against the very council that had exiled us. A cold, calculated fury began to build within me, fueled by the knowledge that the Shakians would stop at nothing to destroy humanity's hard-won empire. I turned to Maya, my voice low and deadly. "Get me the proof, Maya. I want to see the faces of those who dare to betray us." As the team dispersed, their determination palpable, I knew that the game had changed. The Shakians had just made a grave mistake, and I was about to make them pay for it. The clock tower's silhouette seemed to loom larger, its presence a reminder that time was running out. But I was ready. I was ready to take the fight to the Shakians, and I was ready to show them the true meaning of humanity's unpredictability. I gazed out the penthouse window, the city's awakening lights reflected in the dark glass. The silence was a thin veil, concealing the storm brewing beneath. Maya's team had dispersed, each member tasked with gathering evidence of the Shakians' treachery. I knew that the fate of humanity's empire hung in the balance, and I was determined to tip the scales. "Aiden, I have something," EVE's melodic voice whispered in my ear. "I've hacked into the Galactic Council's secure channels. It seems they're holding an emergency meeting and the agenda is classified." My eyes narrowed. This was it, the Shakians were making their move and we had to be one step ahead. "Get me the meeting's details, Eve. I want to know who's attending, what's being discussed, and when." EVE's response was instant. "I'm attempting to breach their security now, Aiden. But I must warn you, this is a high-risk operation. If we're caught, it could mean war." I smiled grimly. War was already here. It was just a matter of when we'd acknowledge it. Do it, Eve. We have no choice. The silence that followed was oppressive, heavy with tension. Then Eve's voice whispered again. In, Aiden. The meeting is scheduled for 0300 hours, Galactic Standard Time. The attendees include Councillor Archaea of the Shakian Empire, as well as several high-ranking officials from the Galactic Council. I felt the threads of a plan weaving together in my mind. This was our chance to strike back, to show the Shakians that humanity wouldn't be intimidated. Get me Admiral Zhao, Eve. We need to prepare a surprise for Councillor Archaea and her friends. As the comms console beeped, I steeled myself for the battle to come. This was at the moment humanity would prove its unpredictability, its capacity to adapt and overcome. And I was ready to lead the charge. Zhao's voice was gruff, his tone laced with urgency. Aiden, I've mobilized the 7th Fleet. We're ready to engage the Shakian vessels at your command. I smiled, a cold, calculated smile. Not yet, Admiral. Not yet. We're going to give them a show they'll never forget. The clock tower loomed larger, its presence a reminder that time was running out. But I was ready to take the fight to the Shakians, to show them the true meaning of humanity's unpredictability. The game had changed, and I was ready to play, my eyes locked onto the clock tower, its illuminated face a countdown to destiny. I could feel the weight of humanity's fate settling onto my shoulders, but I welcomed the burden. This was our moment, our chance to defy the odds and rewrite the script. Zhao, I need you to gather a team of our most trusted allies, I said, my voice low and even. We're going to infiltrate that meeting and gather evidence of the Shakians' treachery. I want proof that will shatter their reputation and expose their deceit to the entire galaxy. I've got just the team in mind, Aiden, Zhao replied, his tone hinting at a plan already in motion. I'll assemble a squad of our most skilled operatives. Well, get in, get the evidence, and get out. Shakian security won't know what hit them. I nodded, even though Zhao couldn't see me. Make it happen, Admiral. I'll start working on a diversion to draw their attention away from the meeting. We need to be precise, calculated, and ruthless. This is our one chance to take the Shakians down. The silence that followed was tense, a thin layer of anticipation hanging in the air like a challenge. I knew that every second counted, every decision a delicate balance of risk and reward. Eve, can you hack into the meeting's comm system? I asked, my mind racing with possibilities. I'm already working on it, Aiden, Eve replied, her voice a reassuring hum. I'll create a backdoor into the secure channel. When the time is right, I'll broadcast our message to the entire galaxy. The Shakians won't be able to silence us. I felt a surge of adrenaline course through my veins. This was our chance to strike back, to reclaim our place in the galaxy. The clock tower seemed to loom larger, its presence a reminder that time was running out. Maya, I need you to meet with our allies, I said, my voice firm. Tell them what's at stake. We need their full support, their trust. This is our moment to rise up, to claim our rightful place in the galaxy. Maya's response was immediate, her determination infectious. I'm on it, Aiden. I'll rally the troops. We'll make this happen together. The room seemed to fade away, leaving only the sound of my own heartbeat. I was ready to face whatever lay ahead, to confront the Shakians and shatter their grip on the galaxy. This was humanity's moment, our chance to write our own destiny. The clock tower's face glowed brighter, its countdown a reminder that time was running out. But I was ready. I was ready to lead the charge, to forge a new path for humanity. Let's do this, I whispered, my voice a promise to myself, to humanity, and to the galaxy. My eyes never left the clock tower as I took a deep breath, the weight of humanity's fate settling onto my shoulders like a mantle of responsibility. The silence was palpable, thick with anticipation, as I waited for the plan to unfold. Zhao's voice broke the stillness, his words a gentle hum of confidence. Aiden, I've assembled the team. We've got our best operatives handpicked for this mission. They're waiting for your signal. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me, my mind racing with the possibilities. Good. "Maya, how's the meeting with our allies going?" Maya's response was immediate, her voice a beacon of hope. "Thayer on board, Aiden. Thayer ready to stand with us against the Shakians. We've got the support we need." I felt a surge of gratitude towards Maya, towards all our allies who had stood by us through thick and thin. This was our moment to strike back, to reclaim our place in the galaxy. "Eve, how's the hack progressing?" I asked, my voice low and even. "I've got the back door open, Aiden," Eve replied, her voice a reassuring hum. "I'm waiting for your signal to broadcast our message to the galaxy." I felt a shiver run down my spine as I gazed at the clock tower, its face glowing brighter with every passing second. This was our chance to expose the Shakians' treachery, to shatter their grip on the galaxy. "All right, let's do this," I whispered, my voice a promise to myself, to humanity, and to the galaxy. I took a deep breath, the air cool and crisp as I gave the signal. "Zhao, Maya, Eve, let's move out. It's time to rewrite history." The room erupted into a flurry of activity, voices murmuring, footsteps echoing as our operatives sprang into action. I felt a sense of pride, of purpose, as I watched them move with precision and grace, each one a finely tuned instrument in our symphony of defiance. The clock tower loomed larger, its face ablaze with an otherworldly light as I made my way to the meeting point. The Shakians were about to get a rude awakening, and I was ready to lead the charge. As I stepped out into the night air, the stars twinkling like diamonds above, I felt a sense of destiny calling my name. This was humanity's moment, our chance to rise up, to claim our rightful place in the galaxy, and I was ready to lead the way. The darkness seemed to part before me like a curtain of shadows as I made my way to the heart of the Shakian stronghold. The air was heavy with tension, the silence a palpable thing as I prepared to face our enemies head-on. This was our moment of truth. "Let's do this," I whispered, my voice a promise to myself, to humanity, and to the galaxy. The stars seemed to shine brighter, the clock tower's face a blazing beacon of hope, as I led the charge into the heart of the Shakian stronghold. The Shakian guards, towering and imposing, stood like sentinels at the entrance, their eyes fixed on me with a mixture of curiosity and contempt. I flashed them a confident smile, my heart racing with anticipation as I approached the doorway. Zhao materialized beside me, his eyes scanning the perimeter, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword. "Aiden, we've got a clear path to the central chamber. Let's move." I nodded, my gaze locked on the guards as Maya's voice whispered in my ear. "Aiden, I've hacked into the internal comms system. We've got a window of 10 minutes before the Shakians realize what's happening." "All right, let's move," I repeated, my voice a low growl as I strode forward. The guards parted, their movements stiff and mechanical as I approached. I could feel the tension building, the air thickening with anticipation as we stepped into the stronghold. The central chamber loomed before us, a cavernous space filled with Shakian dignitaries and officials. The air was heavy with the stench of corruption, of deceit, as I gazed upon the gathering. At the far end of the chamber, the Shakian emperor sat on his throne, his eyes fixed on me with a malevolent glare. I felt a surge of adrenaline, my heart pounding in my chest, as I faced our enemies head-on. "It's time to expose your treachery," I declared, my voice echoing through the chamber as Eve's broadcast began to play, her words a scathing indictment of the Shakian regime. The chamber erupted into chaos, the Shakian officials scrambling to respond as our operatives moved to secure the perimeter. I felt a sense of pride, of satisfaction, as our plan unfolded with precision and ease. The Shakian emperor's face twisted with rage, his eyes blazing with fury as he realized the extent of our betrayal. I gazed upon him, my heart filled with a sense of triumph, as I knew that we had finally turned the tables on our enemies. But as I turned to leave, I caught a glimpse of a figure watching from the shadows, a figure I had not seen before, a figure that seemed to radiate an aura of power, of menace, as our eyes locked in a silent challenge. Who was this mysterious figure, and what role did they play in the Arshakian Empire? I felt a shiver run down my spine, my mind racing with questions as I realized that our victory was not yet won. The clock tower's face still glowed bright, a beacon of hope in the darkness as I gazed upon the mysterious figure, my heart pounding with anticipation. This was far from over. I felt a jolt of unease as our gazes locked, the air thickening with tension. Who was this figure, and what kind of influence did they wield within the Arshakian Empire? Maya's voice whispered in my ear, Aiden, we're picking up unusual energy signatures from that location. It's like nothing we've seen before. Zhao's hand tightened on the hilt of his sword, his eyes fixed intently on the mysterious figure. I think we've got a new player on the board, Aiden. One we didn't anticipate. I took a step forward, my movements deliberate and slow as I sought to draw the figure out. Let's find out what they want, I murmured, my voice barely audible over the din of chaos in the chamber. The figure didn't flinch, their eyes remaining fixed on me like a predator sizing up its prey. I felt a shiver run down my spine, my senses on high alert as I probed the air for any hidden threats. EVE's broadcast continued to play, the Arshakian officials scrambling to respond to the damning evidence. But I knew that this mysterious figure was the real wild card in the room. They seemed to be waiting for something or someone, and I had a feeling it wasn't good for us. Maya, can you hack into their comm system? I whispered, my gaze never leaving the figure. I'm trying, Aiden, Maya replied, her voice laced with tension, but their encryption is like nothing I've seen before. It's like they're using an entirely different language. The figure took a step forward, their movements fluid and silent as they began to circle around the perimeter of the chamber. Zhao and I mirrored their movements, our eyes locked on them as we waited for them to make their next move. The air was thick with anticipation, the outcome hanging precariously in the balance. I knew that one wrong move could tip the scales in favor of the Arshakians, and I was determined not to let that happen. The clock tower's face continued to glow bright, a beacon of hope in the darkness. As I faced off against this enigmatic figure, I had a feeling that our entire mission hinged on this one moment, and I was ready to do whatever it took to ensure our victory. Who are you? I demanded, my voice ringing out across the chamber as I took another step forward. The figure paused, their eyes flicking up to meet mine, and for a moment I thought I saw a glimmer of something there, something that looked almost like amusement. Then, in a flash of movement, they vanished into the shadows, leaving me staring at empty air. What just happened? Zhao breathed, his voice laced with confusion as we both turned to look at each other. I shook my head, my mind racing with questions. Who was this mysterious figure and what did they want from us? More importantly, what did they have planned for the Arshakian Empire and how did it fit into our own plans for the galaxy? The clock tower's face seemed to loom larger, its presence a reminder that time was running out. We had to uncover the truth behind this enigmatic figure and fast, before they could upset the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding with anticipation as I gazed out into the unknown. The game had just changed and I was ready to play. Maya, can you track their energy signature? I asked, my voice low and urgent as I scanned the chamber for any sign of our mysterious opponent. I'm trying, Aiden, Maya replied, her voice tinged with frustration, but it's like they've vanished into thin air. I've never seen anything like it. Zhao's eyes narrowed, his grip on his sword tightening. We need to be careful. This could be a trap. I nodded, my mind racing with possibilities. We couldn't afford to underestimate this new player, not when the stakes were this high. Eve, can you analyze the data we've collected so far? I asked, my eyes flicking up to the ceiling, where the AI's presence lingered like a ghost. Already on it, Aiden, EVE replied, her voice smooth and efficient. But I have to warn you, the data is fragmented and unclear. It's like they're using some kind of advanced cloaking technology. I cursed under my breath, my frustration growing. We needed answers and we needed them fast. Suddenly, the chamber's doors burst open and a group of Arshakian guards stormed in, their weapons at the ready. "What's going on?" One of them growled, their eyes scanning the room for signs of trouble. I stepped forward, my hands raised in a calming gesture. "We're trying to figure out what just happened," I said, my voice even and measured. The guard's eyes narrowed, his hand on the hilt of his sword. "You're not going anywhere until we get to the bottom of this." I smiled, a cold, calculated smile. "I think we're all after the same thing, guard. Let's work together to uncover the truth." The guard's eyes flickered, uncertainty written across his face, and for a moment I thought I saw a glimmer of doubt. "Fine," he growled finally. "But if you're hiding something, you'll regret it." I nodded, my heart pounding with excitement. We had just gained an unlikely ally, and I knew exactly how to use them to our advantage. As the guard moved to stand beside us, I caught Zhao's eye and we exchanged a brief, meaningful glance. The game was on and I was ready to play. "Maya, can you hack into the guard's comm system?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. "I'm on it, Aiden," Maya replied, her voice laced with excitement. I smiled, a plan forming in my mind. We were about to uncover the secrets of the mysterious figure, and I had a feeling that it would change the course of the galaxy forever. The clock tower's face glowed bright, a beacon of hope in the darkness as I took a step forward, ready to face whatever lay ahead. But little did I know, the real game was only just beginning, and the stakes were about to get a lot higher.